where the wrestling truth resides.
Because Let's Wrestle was shows that were originally run at Thatcher's in South Portland. I had a venue, an outdoor venue called Thatcher.
Oh, God. I was there for like one or two of those.
They had an outdoor venue. It was a restaurant and bar. And they had this outdoor patio. But on the outdoor patio, they had this giant open space. And they're like, could you do wrestling out here? And I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. Joe McBrady, who used to be Joey McNasty, got me the gig.
Those are fun. I love those because
we got down there, and you would think this is like a shitty situation, but it actually was really fucking cool.
It was fun
because we would set up next to the patio, and we would dress out back in like their storage area, and you could walk out. When you walk out on the patio, there'd be like a sea of people outside, and they'd all be like Gino style people, like standing around drinking, hooting and hollering while you're wrestling in the fucking ring. And that's super fucking cool.
It was like a very tame Gino show.
Exactly. So it was cool. And we did that until it got too cold. And then they're like, well, you should try bringing it inside. When they told me they should bring it inside, I thought because they actually had a giant inside room of the restaurant.
Big, wide open room that you would have thought would have been perfect.
No, they wanted to put us in this back storage room.
Literally, the room was the same length as the fucking ring, minus like a foot or 2 feet of space.
So it was long, and I'm like, maybe we can make this work. And I'm the one that tries it. The floor was slanted in this room. We put the ring up, and the ring was on a slant, so you could only run the ropes one way, because if you ran it the other way, the ring would tip a little bit.
You couldn't run all sides.
Oh. That reminds me of the 3W show at the AM Vets Hall when he set up the ring. We couldn't run the ropes one way because we'd go into the wall.
Exactly. Well, with this one, if you ran them the other way, the ring would tip a little bit. It wouldn't fall over because the ring's too heavy, but
yeah,
you could definitely feel the ring start to shift. But the thing was with this, here you go. You can't tell from here though that it's tilted. But this is like the back room. This is like here's what that's the best analogy I could give. It felt like an underground Fight Club thing. That's how grungy it felt, and it actually drew.
How many people do you think we put in there?
One time we put 128 people in that room,
which didn't seem like
because we were 5 to 6 rows deep on the far side, and then another 5 to 6 rows deep on this side, and then standing room in the back. And we literally had a shit ton of people in there, and it felt, and people were responsive. They were drunk and getting rowdy. It was a good time. And what killed that was actually the same person who got me the venue, Joe McBrady. I was running the gigs. I was doing the shows there, and he tried to scoop a date that I had booked with the owner, not knowing I had the owner's phone number. Like, I'm not stupid. I have literally keep a notebook with all contacts and shit in it. And I had the owner's phone number. And I had confirmed the dates. My dates are, I always confirmed them like in advance. I usually book out a year. So I have all my dates saved up. And I went to confirm for a date. And she said I canceled it. And I said, no, I never told you it was canceled. And she goes, well, Joe did. He said he was going to run a show that day. I'm like, I never said I canceled it. So we ended up getting in a big argument with Joe. By me and the owner, because what Joe was trying to do was run his own show on the same date I had booked. Wow. So I called Joe. He gets an argument with me on the phone, doesn't realize I'm recording the conversation. And then I gave it to the owner of the venue. Mind you, Joe is like the head cook of the place at the time.
Yeah, he ran that shit.
And I gave it to the owner, and the owner's like, that's not okay. And literally said, you literally tried to take his date. And she's like, that's not okay. So she gave me the date back and told him he couldn't have it and that he had to book his own dates if he wanted to run his own wrestling shows. So I got to keep he tried to literally cut me out and cancel all my dates. Told her I was canceling all of them. She didn't understand why, because we were doing so well. And he was going to take all my dates.
Wow.
And well, she gave me all the dates back and said he had to book his own. And so we got to finish our dates, but then this is what she said. after we got to finish our dates at the end of the year, she wouldn't let me book any more dates. And I said, why not? And she's like, well, I'm having an conflict with Joe. Joe runs my kitchen.
Right.
And if you keep running shows here, he's going to not run shows here, and he might even leave. I said, okay. So you're taking his side, even though he was in the wrong, because I played that audio clip thing for her because I recorded it and played it for her. She's like, yeah, she needed him to run the kitchen, and I understood.
Right.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
Your kitchen manager, that does suck.
Yeah, so I understood. So cool. And I was like, I thanked her for letting me finish the dates, but I told her I'll let her know I'm going to find somewhere else.
Right.
And then here's the irony story. So I did find somewhere else. Skips in Buxton. So we were finishing out our dates, and I was literally going to use the piggyback the South Portland show at Thatcher's and piggyback that to go to Skips in Buxton. And I had and sold tickets at my South Portland show at Thatcher's in that fucking dingy little room. I sold tickets and was going to go to Skips like the following month. So we had a bunch of tickets sold, everything. And so we leave. Well, when we leave, the crowd left. So the shows that Joe was helping run were not drawing. And we were going to Skips.
I think they drew a crowd for one show.
Well, there's a reason what show that was that drew. And I'll tell you why.
I know what show it is.
So we were going to go to Skips. Well, we were supposed to go to Skips. Someone called code enforcement on Skips. Wonder who that was. Couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. I think it might have been a disgruntled kitchen manager.
So literally the week of the show, and we had over 100 tickets sold.
Right.
Because I don't know this homeboy from.
So
I'll just call him out. I don't care.
And I had sold some at the show, so I end up sending money to Skips. And Skips, I said, everybody wants refunds and go to Skips, and anybody that needed refunds can go to Skips.
Yeah,
and get them. And Skips was still open because they had a kitchen, but they couldn't serve alcohol because their license got pulled because of all the bullshit with code enforcement.
That's so stupid.
And that went
so over someone calling because of wrestling, independent wrestling, people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Because after this, the people that owned Skips at that time, they closed up shop.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Later, they reopened. They closed up for a minute. It was BYOB. Oh, we're getting there, Kevin. Don't you worry. So on the other side of the fence, Joe, the shows weren't drawing over there.
Right.
And had the bare bones roster. And I'll give it to two people. One was Murdoch. Murdoch got involved.
Yep.
Him and his buddies all got involved. This is when Murdoch first got involved in wrestling.
Yeah.
Other than his stuff with Super Lucha Explosiva. But this is like he was getting involved and he tried to help it. And their attendance went up a little bit, and they were starting to get some okay talent, but not they literally were using like Coco the Mime and Sheik Ali, which was Joel Bouchard, and a few people that weren't really wrestling anymore. Roadblock and people
hold on. Rewind that sentence. Sheik Ali, who is Joel Bouchard. That is a very, very French name. And this
he used to be
Sheik.
He used to be Frankie Parker, and then he became Sheik Ali.
Oh my god.
Yeah, don't ask me. I didn't come up with the gimmick, brother. Anyway.
No, I know you well enough to know that you had nothing to do with that.
He went from Frankie Parker to Frankie Ali to Sheik Ali. I said, I always used to call him, I used to joke and call him Prince Ali because, Aladdin, Prince Ali. Anyway. So they were using the bare bones roster and they weren't drawing anything. And they were piggybacking our shows and were doing okay because they were getting like extra people that were just coming because there was wrestling there. But eventually people could tell there was a difference in the product. When I'm using guys like fucking, at the time, I was using like Tommy Mack and Graves and I had Joseph Von Schmidt coming in. I do angles with people from down there. I remember Dan Rain LaMontagne, who didn't wrestle anymore, came back into wrestling just so that he could, work at those shows. And he would bring people in. I bring Marsh in. See, there's a ton of people there. You see people, there's people everywhere.
This was under McBrady and like Murdoch. And all
Yes. Yes,
Horror?
Murdoch took over. Things started going a better way. Well, eventually Joe dropped. He dropped out of it, and it was just Murdoch holding the bag with his buddies. Because his friends who lived down there locally were helping him. But it literally was just Murdoch at this point funding it.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
he
that is
reaches
cool.
out to Randy. He reaches out to Randy, who was running Limitless in Orono at the time. Because that's when all this shit. Ooh, that looked painful.
Yeah.
I don't think he
So he's running Limitless in Orono at the time. He reaches out to Randy for help. And Randy sent him help. He sent him guys, gave him contacts, everything. So Randy went down there and helped him, and they were drawn. Until I get a call from Skips. They're reopening. New owners, new people, new this, new that. They got everything fixed. Everything's up to code. They want wrestling back because they heard, they saw the tickets that we had sold because they had to refund them all.
Right.
And they were hoping that we can come back down. And so I'm like, yeah, well, you got in trouble with code enforcement, so I don't want to get you in trouble. What other parameters do I need to know to do this? Like, well, we don't know. You'd have to talk to code enforcement because we don't know anything about wrestling. So I did. I called them. And they asked me 20 questions. Have you run wrestling down there before? I'm like, no, I've never run a wrestling show there ever. But I'm aiming to do so, and people have done it in the past because, they've been wrestling at Skips for years. Larry and Sonny ran NWH there at my beginning of my career in 2004 for every once a week. Like, so,
NWA,
like,
right?
huh?
Was it NWA that ran there too, or
On Fire? No.
Oh, I thought On Fire.
It's always been Larry or Sonny that run shows there.
Oh,
Until the EWA did their couple of cups of coffee there.
okay.
And then I think some midget wrestling groups have gone in there before
They have, yeah.
because they have the small ring that fits in there perfectly.
Literally.
Yeah, a couple
Yes.
last month. I think there was one, honestly, because I remember seeing posters for it still.
But
True, nothing.
so I was back and forth for about half an hour with this person from code enforcement, and I said, what type of I'm trying to figure out the parameters, making sure I could even do this because Skips is small to put a wrestling in. I mean, yeah, it's cool. It's got a balcony. You can put people on the stage to sit up there. You can put people on the side. It's hard to squeeze that shit in there, and I didn't want to get Skips in trouble. Well, because they kept asking me if I had run out of the other shows down there, and I said at Thatcher's outside and in their storage room. And then they asked me, do you still run shows there? And I said, no, but other people do. Well, unbeknownst to me, that started a chain of events.
Uh-oh.
So because
Shit.
I had done shows there, they went to go check. Because I said someone else did. I didn't say who, I didn't say what, I didn't say when, I didn't say where. I just said, yeah, I want to do shows here. I know people used to, blah, blah, blah. And I'd love to do shows. And they gave me all the information I needed. And then they asked me, let me investigate 20 questions to see if they can get anybody in trouble.
Literally.
More specifically, me. I think they were trying to get me in trouble for running at Thatcher's. But I wasn't running there anymore. I said, someone else does. I literally told them, I was like, I got pushed out of there. Another group's in there now. So I couldn't tell you what's going on. I literally try to deny everything. Well, they sent code enforcement in there. Well, I guess Larry had left his ring up in the storage room.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, shit.
Because Larry was the ring for it. And I guess Larry, I didn't even know he was doing it, but he was training people back there.
He was, yeah.
He was teaching classes. I had no idea.
I didn't realize he was there.
Because I'd never want to get Larry in trouble. I don't really have a personal problem with Larry. I mean, we don't see eye to eye in certain wrestling situations, but neither does everybody. Like, I have no personal grievance with Larry. And every time I see him, we shake hands. I worked for him at the Bangor Fair. Like, I still work for him on fair dates, and now he has a hard time paying people for fairs. I have no personal qualm with Larry. I didn't know that this was going to lead to them doing an investigation of Thatcher's. I know that they had investigated Skips, and Skid was up to date, so I knew they really weren't going to do anything about it. For them to go down to Thatcher's. They went down to Thatcher's and they found Larry's ring in the storage room on that tilted floor. And they got in a world of shit.
Violations galore.
Wow. Was there like fines and stuff like that, or was it just?
I don't know.
Let's just say that the building now is a used car dealership. Years later.
Wow.
Never thought that one phone call about skips would have led to a chain of events, but I'll take responsibility for that. But I never threw anybody under the bus.
Right.
They just asked me if I had ran anywhere else down in southern Maine, and I said yes at Thatcher. And I took responsibility. I said, yeah, I used to run there, but I got pushed out. There's another group there now, to my knowledge. I don't run there anymore. I'm trying to run at Skips. And they gave me the information, which I eventually did run at Skips like once or twice, but it's not cost effective for me.
At that point, your hands are clean. You're just like...
Yeah, I didn't care. I didn't care about Thatcher's. I was just trying to get my information for Skips.
Right.
And I guess they sent someone over there, I didn't know Larry was teaching people and having a school out the back and was paying the owner money to rent the back room for teaching people. So Larry had to go get his ring, and I guess they got in trouble. A couple months later, they were shut down.
Next thing you know, they're a used car dealership.
Yeah, they were shut down, and then from that, because they were doing pretty good shows there, and Randy was involved with Murdoch, so they gave it a whirl and tried running Westbrook. This is what prompted Limitless to move from Orono to Westbrook.
Right.
So Randy, they had a show planned down there, and obviously it gets canceled because it's so facto. Can't run a show there if they're telling them they got to get the fucking ring out of the storage room. So Randy moved the show to the Westbrook Armory and did a Limitless show there with part the talent from that show and part Limitless people. And it turned out great. He kept going back. So that's how Limitless started in Westbrook.
No kidding.
Over a simple phone call, I guess, that caused a bunch of issues. But in my defense,
You didn't do anything wrong.
yeah, no, I was calling about my shit so I could run back at Skips. Because I was like, I had 100+ people coming, and I had to fucking refund a bunch of tickets, and I wanted to do this shit, but someone called code enforcement, canceled the fucking show, and ruined the business. So in turn, I think the pettiness that started it is also what ended it, because whoever called Skips, code enforcement on Skips, they're turning around. They got fucking same thing happened to fucking Thatcher's.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Karma's a bitch.
But anyway, those shows that were in the back room of Thatcher's that were Murdoch's and Randy's were Let's Wrestle shows. That's where they get the name for Let's Wrestle. They took it from there and they brought it to Orono.